James Garner, one of Hollywood's most beloved and enduring stars, was more than just a familiar face on television and film screens. Born James Scott Bum Garner on April 7, 1928, in Denver, Oklahoma, his early life was far from the glitz and glamour for which he would later become famous. Garner grew up during the harsh years of Great Depression, a time when families across America struggled to survive. His mother tragically passed away when he was only 5 years old, a devastating loss that shaped much of his early childhood. After her death, Garner's father, Weldon Bum Garner, attempted to provide for James and his two older brothers while running a small hardware store, but the family faced continuous hardships. The challenges did not end there. A fire destroyed the hardware store, and his father, unable to cope with the loss, turned to alcohol. This caused further hardship for the young Garner and his siblings, who endured neglect and, at times, abuse. Garner's childhood was a mix of resilience, survival, and a constant need to adapt to a chaotic environment. Reports from his early years describe how he and his brothers were sometimes forced to sing for meals or punished for disobedience. Later, his father remarried a woman named Wilma, whose behavior made the home life even more difficult. Garner recounted in interviews that Wilma could be cruel, describing incidents where she would hit him with tree branches or humiliate him by dressing him in women's clothing. At the age of 14, after a violent confrontation with Wilma, he fought back in self-defense, an event his father intervened in to prevent further escalation. While this moment could have escalated even further, it instead marked a turning point in Garner's early life, revealing a resilience and inner strength that would later become evident in his professional career. After his father ultimately abandoned the family, James and his brothers were left to fend for themselves, navigating a world that required quick thinking, adaptability, and determination. Despite these difficult beginnings, Garner demonstrated remarkable perseverance. He took on a variety of odd jobs, including a short stint in the Merchant Navy, which he ended due to chronic seasickness, and even worked as an underwear model for Time magazine, a seemingly unlikely precursor to his Hollywood career. In 1950, his life took another dramatic turn when he was drafted into the U.S. Army and deployed to Korea with the 5th Regimental Combat Team of the 24th Division. His military service was intense and dangerous, and he was injured twice, once by shrapnel from a mortar attack just 2 days after arriving, and later by friendly fire. These wounds earned him 2 Purple Hearts, though he was modest about his heroism, rarely speaking of the dangers he faced. Interestingly, one unusual quirk from this period of his life was his intense aversion to garlic, which he developed during his service. This aversion played a strange but life-saving role at one point when his unit's meal was poisoned with garlic he avoided entirely. On another occasion, he used his awareness of the smell of garlic to detect the approach of enemy soldiers, likely preventing an ambush. After returning home, Garner worked a variety of jobs, from gas station attendant to laying carpets with his father, but destiny soon intervened when he crossed paths with Paul Gregory, a talent agent who recognized his potential. Initially, Garner dismissed Gregory's suggestion to try acting, but years later, he reconnected with Gregory, who helped him secure his first acting role in the Kane Mutiny court-martial as a non-speaking member of the court. Though small, this role marked the beginning of a remarkable career that would eventually lead him to iconic roles in Maverick, The Rockford Files, and numerous films, establishing him as one of the most charming, resilient, and enduring figures in Hollywood. James Garner's journey into Hollywood stardom truly began in 1957 when he was cast as Brett Maverick in the Western television series Maverick. By this point, Garner had already gained some experience with small acting roles, but nothing had prepared him for the instant recognition and pressure that came with starring in a network television series. Maverick was not an ordinary Western. It stood out because of its humor, wit, and the way it portrayed its main character. Brett Maverick was a sly, clever gambler who often relied on charm, brains, and quick thinking rather than brute force, a portrayal that perfectly suited Garner's natural charisma. The series was competing against major television programs of the time, including variety shows like The Ed Sullivan Show and The Steve Allen Show, so there were doubts about whether audiences would connect with a Western that blended comedy and drama. However, Garner's effortless performance quickly proved critics and skeptics wrong. His ability to convey charm, vulnerability, and intelligence made Brett Maverick instantly relatable and magnetic, capturing the hearts of viewers across the country. Within a few seasons, Maverick became a major hit, solidifying Garner as a household name and proving that he had the talent and presence to carry a series on his own. But Garner's time on Maverick was not without its challenges, and it was here that his first major clash with the Hollywood studio system came to light. In 1960, a writer's strike hit Hollywood, halting production of scripts across many television shows. For Garner, this pause meant that no new episodes of Maverick could be produced, which led Warner Brothers, the studio behind the series, to lay him off despite his rising fame. Garner was earning $1,250 a week at the time, a modest sum considering his popularity, and the sudden dismissal felt like a betrayal. Garner, a man who had already faced enormous hardships in his personal life, was not one to quietly accept injustice. He decided to take a bold step and sued Warner Brothers for breach of contract. This legal battle was risky, as few actors at the time dared to challenge major studios, but Garner had a strong case. He argued that he was still under contract and entitled to the stability and compensation promised him. After months of legal maneuvering, Garner won the lawsuit, sending a strong message that even powerful studios could not take advantage of talented actors. Despite the victory, Garner's faith in the traditional Hollywood studio system had been shaken. He described feeling like a puppet controlled by executives whose decisions were unpredictable and sometimes unfair. This disillusionment ultimately led him to make a life-changing decision. He left Maverick, walking away from a series that had brought him fame and acclaim, but no longer provided the respect and creative control he desired. Warner Brothers attempted to continue the series without him, introducing new characters in hopes of keeping the show alive. They brought in Robert Colbert as Brent Maverick, a near lookalike to mimic Garner's mannerisms, and introduced Bo Maverick, played by young Roger Moore, who would later achieve fame as James Bond. Unfortunately, this strategy failed. Fans of the show found the replacement characters less compelling, and the series began to lose its momentum. Meanwhile, Garner's departure allowed him to pursue opportunities that better suited his talents and ambitions. This included roles in films and other television projects where he had more control and could choose work that resonated with him personally. His experience with Maverick also taught him the value of standing up for himself, setting the stage for later battles over contracts, royalties, and creative rights in his career. Beyond the studio politics, Garner's time on Maverick showcased his unique blend of humor, charm, and relatability, qualities that would define his career for decades. He was not a typical Western hero. He was flawed, clever, and human, and audiences responded to that authenticity. His performance created a lasting impact on television storytelling, influencing future series that sought to balance action, humor, and character-driven narratives. While Maverick was only the beginning, it marked a critical turning point in Garner's life, proving that talent paired with integrity and perseverance could overcome even the most challenging obstacles. In essence, this period in his career demonstrated Garner's dedication not just to acting, but to maintaining his principles, and set the tone for the kind of professional he would become, a Hollywood star who valued respect, authenticity, and honesty above mere fame. After establishing himself as a household name with Maverick, James Garner stepped into one of the most defining roles of his career with the 1963 World War II film The Great Escape. Based on the true story of Allied prisoners of war planning a daring breakout from a German prison camp, the film brought together some of Hollywood's most talented actors, including Steve McQueen, Richard Attenborough, Charles Bronson, and James Coburn. Directed by John Sturges, The Great Escape offered not just thrilling action, but also complex characters, camaraderie, and human drama that resonated with audiences worldwide. Garner's character, Flight Lieutenant Virgil, the scrounger Hiltz, displayed a mix of cunning, charm, and resourcefulness, traits that mirrored Garner's own persona off-screen. However, despite the film's cooperative spirit and ensemble cast, tensions arose behind the scenes, particularly between Garner and McQueen. On the surface, the two appeared friendly, but their personalities and approaches to acting were quite different. Garner was known for his professionalism, affable nature, and straightforward charm, whereas McQueen, still rising in fame, had a reputation for being intense, competitive, and sometimes difficult to manage on set. According to accounts revealed in Garner's 2011 memoir, The Garner Files, McQueen's aloof and sometimes eccentric behavior created distance between the two men. He preferred solitude, staying in a private chalet during filming and often arriving on set in a Rolls-Royce, signaling his growing star power and desire for distinction. Garner, ever the straight shooter, described McQueen as a pain in the ass, comparing his temperament to Marlon Brando's unpredictability. He observed that McQueen was less of an actor in the traditional sense and more of a movie star, someone who relied heavily on cultivated persona and charm rather than versatility or depth. Garner's frustrations with McQueen were not just about ego. They extended to concrete production challenges. McQueen frequently demanded additional screen time and specific changes to scenes, aiming to highlight his own character and stunts. The most famous example is the motorcycle chase, a daring sequence that became one of the film's iconic moments. While this stunt demonstrated McQueen's physical skill and star appeal, Garner saw the push for additional focus as unnecessary and self-serving, feeling that the ensemble cast as a whole contributed to the story's success. Tensions escalated to the point that director John Sturges reportedly considered shifting the film's focus to make Garner's character central. Though flattered, Garner declined, recognizing that such a drastic change would cause chaos in production and compromise the integrity of the story. Instead, Garner addressed McQueen directly, learning that McQueen was dissatisfied with Hilt's role, feeling it lacked heroism and excitement. As a compromise, Sturges revised certain scenes and added more dynamic motorcycle stunts, which many believe enhanced McQueen's presence without undermining the ensemble cast. Beyond McQueen, Garner also had notable challenges with other co-stars, including Charles Bronson. Garner recalled Bronson as bitter and belligerent, sharing a story in which a friendly poker game turned tense when Bronson refused to honor a bet, attempting to withhold winnings from a struggling Hollywood extra. Garner, standing by his principles, insisted Bronson pay up, resulting in a heated confrontation that almost became physical. These behind-the-scenes conflicts highlighted that even iconic films like The Great Escape, celebrated for teamwork and heroism on screen, were not free from real-world egos, insecurities, and competition. Garner's reflections on these events offered a rare glimpse into Hollywood's inner workings during the 1960s. Despite the rivalries, Garner maintained a professional demeanor and often acted as a mentor figure to McQueen, much like an older brother. He understood that McQueen's difficult behavior stemmed from insecurity rather than malice. McQueen's wife, Nyla, reportedly confided in Garner about her husband's fears and suspicions, including unfounded concerns about infidelity, revealing a personal side to the star that audiences rarely saw. Garner's ability to navigate these complex relationships, balancing empathy with firmness, demonstrated his maturity and emotional intelligence, qualities that set him apart from many of his contemporaries. The film itself, while receiving mixed reviews from critics at the time, became a classic, celebrated for its suspenseful narrative, compelling characters, and thrilling action sequences. Garner's performance as Hilt, with his clever resourcefulness and charm, not only cemented his stardom, but also contributed to a lasting cinematic legacy that audiences continue to admire. Yet, behind the fame and acclaim, the dynamics with McQueen and other cast members serve as a reminder that Hollywood's golden era was as much about interpersonal battles and rivalries as it was about cinematic triumphs. Garner's candid accounts of these experiences in the Garner Files reveal the human side of legendary stars, their fears, their insecurities, and the occasional clash of personalities that could shape, challenge, and even define a film's production. It was this combination of talent, integrity, and honesty that made James Garner not only a remarkable actor, but also a respected figure in Hollywood whose stories of triumph and conflict continue to resonate with audiences today. Following the successes of Maverick and The Great Escape, James Garner continued to demonstrate his versatility as an actor, ultimately securing one of his most iconic roles in the 1970s with the television series The Rockford Files. Created by Roy Huggins and developed alongside Stephen J. Cannell, the series reimagined the archetype of the private investigator for a modern audience. At its heart was Jim Rockford, a character who was markedly different from the polished, invincible heroes that dominated television at the time. Rockford was flawed, often down on his luck, and highly relatable. Living in a trailer on the beach, dressed in rumpled clothing and relying on his wit as much as his investigative skills, Rockford connected with viewers in a way few fictional detectives had before. Garner's portrayal was both charming and grounded, emphasizing intelligence and resourcefulness over physical domination, which set the tone for a new kind of television hero. From a very first episode, it was clear that Garner brought a deep commitment to authenticity. He insisted on performing many of his own stunts, including high-speed car chases and precarious physical scenes that added a realistic, thrilling edge to the series. Garner's previous experience in racing films, such as Grand Prix, allowed him to handle these sequences with skill and precision. However, this dedication came at a personal cost. Years of stunt work left his body battered, particularly his knees and back, leading to chronic pain that would persist throughout his life. By the time the 6th season of The Rockford Files aired, doctors warned Garner to limit physical strain to prevent further injury, coinciding with the eventual conclusion of the original series in 1980. Beyond the physical challenges, the production of The Rockford Files was notable for its meticulous attention to detail, which contributed to higher costs. The recurring damage to Rockford's iconic gold Pontiac Firebird during action sequences required constant repair or replacement, and shooting on location added further expenses. Additionally, guest stars and evolving storylines created logistical challenges for the production team. Despite these obstacles, the show thrived on the strength of its writing, character development, and Garner's charismatic performance. One particularly memorable aspect of the series was Rockford's answer machine messages, which became a signature element. Writers initially struggled to generate fresh, humorous content for this recurring gag, ultimately opening the creative process to input from the entire NBC staff. This collaborative approach not only kept the messages inventive, but also highlighted the show's commitment to innovation within a familiar framework. The Rockford Files also serve as a launching pad for future talent, most notably David Chase, who would later create the acclaimed series The Sopranos. The show's theme music, composed by Mike Post, became iconic and helped solidify his reputation as one of television's great composers. Garner's dedication extended well beyond the original run of the series. In the 1990s, he reprised the role of Jim Rockford in 6 made-for-television movies, delighting longtime fans and reinforcing the character's lasting appeal. Yet during this period, Garner faced significant personal and health challenges. Years of performing his own stunts, combined with the natural effect of aging, led to major back and knee surgeries, and in 1988 he underwent heart surgery. Later, in 2008, he suffered a stroke that further complicated his mobility and energy levels. Despite these setbacks, Garner approached each challenge with the resilience and perseverance that had defined his life and career. Even in later roles, such as Space Cowboys 2000, where he portrayed a retired astronaut returning to action, Garner's commitment to authenticity and physical performance remained evident. During filming, he dislocated his shoulder, but insisted it was a clumsy accident rather than a reflection of his age. Garner's professionalism and humor remained intact, even in scenes that emphasized vulnerability or comedic moments, like the memorable scene in which the older astronauts exposed their backsides to camera. Beyond his physical struggles, Garner's personal life remained a source of stability and admiration. Unlike many of his contemporaries in Hollywood, he maintained a lifelong marriage to Lois Clark, a testament to his grounded and steadfast character. Garner's ability to balance fame, career demands, and personal integrity contributed significantly to his enduring reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected and beloved actors. His candid reflections, shared in his memoir The Garner Files, offered a rare glimpse into the life of a man who had experienced both extraordinary success and profound hardship, from his early days overcoming a difficult childhood, to his rise in television and film, and his battles with studios, co-stars, and personal health. Garner's story is one of perseverance, intelligence, and heart. Through his performances both on-screen and off, James Garner left a lasting legacy of charm, authenticity, and courage, a legacy that continues to inspire actors and audiences alike in the final years of his life. James Garner continued to exemplify the qualities that had defined his career: resilience, professionalism, and authenticity. Despite a career spanning over 6 decades, Garner never lost his grounded approach to life or acting, and he remained candid about both his successes and struggles. After his stroke in 2008, Garner's health gradually declined, but he maintained a positive outlook and continued to engage with fans in the entertainment community whenever possible. In interviews and public appearances, he reflected on the many facets of his life, including his challenging childhood, military service, and Hollywood career. Garner's early life experiences, from the tragic loss of his mother to the hardships of growing up in a tumultuous family environment, had instilled in him a sense of perseverance and self-reliance that carried him through the pressures of stardom. His time in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where he earned 2 Purple Hearts and survived life-threatening incidents, further reinforced his resilience and shaped the disciplined yet approachable persona that would define his on-screen roles. Even as his physical capabilities declined, Garner remained mentally sharp, often offering witty and insightful commentary about Hollywood, the film industry, and his co-stars. One of the most discussed aspects of his later reflections was his candid assessment of relationships with fellow actors, including Steve McQueen. Garner's memoir, The Garner Files, revealed that while McQueen could be difficult on set, he was ultimately a product of his insecurities and ambitions rather than ill intent. Garner often described himself as a mentor or older brother figure to McQueen, navigating the younger star's anxieties with patience and professionalism. His stories about on-set tensions, combined with behind-the-scenes anecdotes about other co-stars, such as Charles Bronson, demonstrated Garner's willingness to portray the complexities of Hollywood life honestly, without embellishment or malice. Beyond his reflections on co-stars, Garner also shared his perspective on broader issues in the industry. He was known for advocating for fair treatment of actors, famously suing Warner Brothers over contractual disputes during his maverick years and winning, sending a clear message about a commitment to standing up for his rights. Similarly, his legal battle with Universal Studios over royalties from the Rockford Files, which lasted 8 years, highlighted his dedication to ensuring proper recognition and compensation for his work. Garner's influence extended beyond legal and professional matters. He was a respected figure in shaping television and film culture. Shows like The Rockford Files not only entertained but also inspired future generations of writers, actors, and creators. For instance, David Chase, who later created The Sopranos, credited part of his early development as a writer to his experience on The Rockford Files, illustrating how Garner's work indirectly shaped modern television storytelling. In addition to his professional accomplishments, Garner's personal life remained a source of admiration. His marriage to Lois Clark lasted over 6 decades, a rarity in Hollywood, and was often cited as a testament to his loyalty, stability, and integrity. Even while navigating the pressures of fame and physical challenges from performing stunts over decades, Garner maintained a strong, loving relationship, demonstrating a balance of career dedication and personal values that few in the industry achieve. Garner's final acting roles, including appearances in films like Space Cowboys, showcase his enduring commitment to storytelling and performing, even as age and injuries slowed him down. During filming, he continued to display his trademark humor, resilience, and professionalism, earning the respect of co-stars and crew alike. James Garner passed away on July 19, 2014, at the age of 86, leaving behind a legacy of cinematic and television excellence, personal integrity, and an indelible impact on Hollywood. In the years following his death, tributes poured in from colleagues, fans, and critics alike, recognizing not just his talent but the warmth, generosity, and authenticity that defined both his work and his life. Garner's contributions continue to be celebrated through retrospectives, awards, and the enduring popularity of his iconic roles, ensuring that new generations discover the charm and skill that made him a true Hollywood legend. His candid memoir, interviews, and the stories shared by those who worked with him provide a lasting testament to a life lived with passion, honesty, and grace, a life that overcame adversity, influenced a generation of performers, and set a standard of professionalism and humanity that remains rare in the entertainment world. Ultimately, James Garner's final years were a reflection of his entire life, a blend of courage, humor, resilience, and authenticity, leaving a legacy that goes far beyond the characters he portrayed on screen. James Garner's impact on Hollywood extended far beyond his memorable performances on screen. While audiences admired his charisma, wit, and charm, his colleagues and younger actors often spoke of his professionalism, humility, and willingness to guide those just starting in the industry. Garner had an uncanny ability to balance the pressures of fame with a grounded approach to life, and this perspective left a lasting impression on everyone he worked with. Many young actors entering television or film during the 1960s to the 1980s viewed him as a role model, not just for his talent, but for the way he carried himself on set treated crew members, and approached his craft. He believed that acting was as much about respect, preparation, and collaboration as it was about natural ability, and he was never shy about sharing these insights with those eager to learn. Garner's mentorship often involved practical advice, such as preparing thoroughly for a scene, understanding a character's motivations, or handling difficult co-stars or directors, combined with lessons in navigating the often turbulent business side of Hollywood. In particular, his experience with studio conflicts, such as his lawsuit against Warner Brothers, serve as a cautionary tale for many young actors about understanding contracts, asserting rights, and protecting one's creative freedom. Beyond legal and professional guidance, Garner's personal example of maintaining integrity and humility resonated strongly. He demonstrated that success did not have to come at the expense of kindness, respect for colleagues, or personal principles. Garner often emphasized the importance of staying true to oneself, regardless of the pressures of fame, and this philosophy influenced actors across generations. His relationships with co-stars, both positive and challenging, serve as learning experiences for those around him. For instance, while Garner had well-documented tensions with Steve McQueen on the set of The Great Escape, his approach to the situation, maintaining professionalism, speaking candidly when necessary, but avoiding unnecessary conflict, demonstrated how to handle difficult personalities without compromising one's own values. Similarly, his clashes with other stars, such as Charles Bronson, highlighted the importance of standing up for fairness while remaining composed, teaching younger performers that diplomacy and firmness could coexist. Garner's influence also extended to shaping the type of roles actors pursued. He consistently sought characters with depth, wit, and humanity, rather than relying solely on physicality or conventional heroism. Through characters like Brett Maverick and Jim Rockford, he demonstrated that flawed, relatable, and intelligent protagonists could captivate audiences as effectively as larger-than-life action heroes. This approach inspired countless actors and writers to create more nuanced roles, thereby elevating the quality and diversity of television and film storytelling. Moreover, Garner's commitment to performing his own stunts set a standard of authenticity that many actors admired. He showed that careful preparation, discipline, and a willingness to take calculated risks could enhance storytelling, leaving a tangible mark on action sequences and the portrayal of heroes in television and film. Beyond acting, Garner's integrity and advocacy contributed to wider industry conversations about fairness, respect, and professional standards. His legal battles, candid interviews, and memoirs provided rare behind-the-scenes insight, allowing future generations to understand the realities of Hollywood and learn how to navigate its complexities while preserving personal ethics. Even in retirement, Garner remained a source of inspiration. He engaged with fans, attended events, and spoke openly about his life and career, offering encouragement to those pursuing creative endeavors. The lessons from his life extend beyond acting: resilience in the face of adversity, the courage to fight for what is right, the humility to treat others with respect, and the dedication to one's craft. His personal values, loyalty, honesty, and perseverance, complemented his professional achievements, reinforcing his reputation as one of the most respected figures in entertainment. In reflecting on his legacy, it becomes evident that Garner's influence will endure not merely because of his films or television shows, but because of the example he set for those who followed him. By blending talent, integrity, and humanity, James Garner left an indelible mark on Hollywood culture, inspiring countless actors, creators, and fans to strive for excellence while remaining grounded. In this way, his story is not only one of stardom, but also a blueprint for balancing personal character with professional success, leaving lessons that resonate across generations in the entertainment industry and beyond. James Garner's impact on popular culture extends far beyond the confines of television and film. His work left an indelible mark on audiences, shaping their understanding of heroism, charm, and authenticity. Garner's characters, most notably Brett Maverick and Jim Rockford, embodied traits that transcended their fictional settings, providing viewers with relatable, multidimensional heroes who balance intelligence, humor, and moral integrity. Unlike the larger-than-life, invincible protagonists common in mid-20th century Hollywood, Garner's roles resonated because they were human. Audiences saw themselves reflected in his character's flaws, doubts, and triumphs. This relatability fostered a loyal fan base that has endured for decades, with viewers continuing to celebrate his performances through fan clubs, social media discussions, and conventions. Garner's influence can be seen in how subsequent television and film heroes were crafted. Writers and producers often cited his work as inspiration for creating protagonists who were approachable, witty, and capable of genuine emotional depth. For example, the nuanced anti-heroes of modern crime dramas, including shows like The Sopranos and Breaking Bad, owe a debt to the foundation Garner helped establish. Characters who are skilled and admirable, yet flawed and human, engaging audiences through a combination of charisma and vulnerability. Garner's enduring popularity is also a result of his off-screen persona, which mirrored the charm and integrity of the characters he portrayed. Fans admired him not only for his talent, but also for his humility, warmth, and honesty in interviews and public appearances. Unlike many celebrities who distance themselves from their audiences, Garner maintained a direct connection with fans, often sharing candid anecdotes, advice, and reflections about life and career. This accessibility strengthened the bond between actor and audience, making his work not just entertainment, but a shared experience. Over time, Garner's cultural significance expanded beyond his roles and fan interactions, influencing discussions around the nature of stardom, professionalism, and personal ethics in Hollywood. His battles with studios over contracts, royalties, and creative control highlighted the importance of standing up for one's rights in an industry often criticized for exploitation. These efforts resonated with aspiring actors and creatives, offering practical lessons in navigating professional challenges while maintaining dignity and integrity. Moreover, Garner's advocacy for authenticity on screen set new standards for performance and storytelling. By performing many of his own stunts, maintaining continuity in character development, and insisting on nuanced portrayals, he elevated audience expectations for realism and depth in both television and film. In doing so, he influenced not only actors but also directors, producers, and writers, creating a ripple effect that can still be seen in contemporary Hollywood productions.